Okay, I think we'll make a start then. Good afternoon, or good morning, actually, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. This is a webinar brought to you by Paratus through the Disaster Risk Stakeholder Hub. My name's Ben Hall. I'm from the Resilience Advisors Network and the CMIND platform, and I'm delighted to be your moderator today. We're joined by members from the Be Prepared project and the Core project, I will introduce to you shortly. And thank you for so many of you for joining us today. So today's topic is people-centered innovation for disaster resilience, engaging citizens and informing policymakers. Before I begin, I'd just like to run through a few housekeeping rules. The session is being recorded and you'll be able to access the recording later on the Disaster Risk Stakeholder Hub. Please keep your microphones turned off, but we encourage you to keep your cameras on to enhance engagement. And our webinar today is scheduled for 1 hour. We'll reserve the last 10 minutes for a question and answer session. So if you've got any questions in the meantime, please write them down in the chat and we will address them either at the end or at the most appropriate time. On your screen now, you will see today's agenda, and it will just take a few moments of your time to introduce you. And sorry, I will now take a few moments just to introduce you, those of you that are new to the Disaster Risk Stakeholder Hub. I'll then hand over to the project, which is the real reason you're here, and they will move on to the webinar. So the Disaster Risk Stakeholder Hub, which you can visit at drshub.eu and is also available through the CMIND platform. It's designed as an entry-level reference point for anyone involved in disaster risk management. It's meant for citizens, local organisations, responders, national and international bodies, and research and policy makers. Originally, it has stemmed from the Paratus project, which engaged stakeholders across case studies in the regions like the Caribbean, Istanbul, Bucharest, and the Brenner Corridor, recognised the need for a universal platform, and its scope has since and is continuing to expand. So some of the tools that are available on it, we've got baseline knowledge and tools, which has got a wealth of information, including terminology, disaster databases, impact chains, hazard data, loss and damage data, and risk reduction measures. It's got a simulation engine, which features interactive tools such as impact chain generators, hazard assessment tools, risk assessment and reduction tools, and it's even got some serious games to enhance learning, which is something we're going to talk about today. It's got an area for community engagement, so an active members forum and scheduled events like these webinars, conferences and exhibitions. It's got an intelligent search function. So it's an AI-driven search facility that makes it easy to navigate through the extensive disaster data sets and the knowledge bases that are available. And it's got links to complementary tools, so it connects you to additional resources such as the European Commission's CORDIS and the UN's Disaster Risk Gateway. It's there to enable greater project longevity and relevance, so it preserves valuable output from research and innovation projects, and it ensures these tools remain accessible well beyond their funding cycles. And it's a central access point for all stakeholders. It's a unified gateway where diverse groups from local government officials and educators to research and policymakers can effortlessly access critical data, tools and resources. And the final point on there is it's an opportunity for projects to store resources, share findings and offer enhanced engagement. So lastly, before I hand over to Zoltan from Be Prepared, these DRS webinars are moving from an individual project level to a cluster-based approach, which is an exciting evolution in our collaborative efforts. This has united 15 projects under the Societal Resilience Cluster, which is hosted on CMIND, not only sharing diverse methodologies, key findings and research outcomes, but also fostering an environment where innovation thrives through cross-project learning. That is enough from me, I think. I'm going to hand you over to people far more interesting. So Zoltan, if I could ask you to introduce your project, please.
Thank you very much, Ben. Hi, everyone. I'm Zoltan Seikay from SFC Nonprofit. I'm representing here the project Be Prepared. In the cluster, we are dealing with engagement of citizens, like everyone else who is not a specific stakeholder. Be Prepared is about increasing disaster preparedness with citizen-centered content, including games, serious games, and a platform which is a mixture of Wikipedia and Facebook. I will talk about these in the presentation and my turn. Until then, I would like to pass the word to Raffaella to also introduce core.
Thank you, Zoltan. Hello, everybody. I'm Raffaella Russo, and from the University of Salerno. And today I will talk about the achievements of the core project. Core stands for Science and Human Factor for Resilient Society. I will present some of the recommendations derived from the project, and together with my colleague Maria Vittoria Gargiulo that will join here, we will also present a core application that was developed by an Italian school. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Raffaella, and we'll hand over to you to continue, if that's okay.
That's okay. Okay, as said, we have this project core that started in the September 2021 and ended in September 2024. Core project was composed of 18 partners, of which 6 practitioners coming from different countries, 11 to be more precise. We had more than 80 researchers involved in the core project. That was a huge project delivering a lot of outputs. And on the right table, you can just see the list of project partners. As regards the methodology of the core project, it was based on different building blocks. The safety culture, social media supports also analyzing threats to safety culture and community resilience, possible cascading effects coming from different disaster scenarios, governance and disaster scenarios, human behavior, and disaster community community identity as a resilience factor. It is to be underlined that the core activity was focused on test cases because for us it was very important just to derive lesson learned from past events. And as you can see here you have different scenarios derived from both human and natural hazards. So you have the L'Aquila earthquake, a terroristic attack in Manchester, UK, an industrial accident in Venkatapuram in India, flash flood in Old region in France, the tsunami of Tohoku in Japan, wildfire in Jerusalem and wildfire in 2021, and finally the COVID-19 that was a benchmark case because we here just catch the different societal skills according to a scenario that was common not only in Europe but also in all the world. Next slide, please. Okay, our project was based on a transdisciplinary approach. This means that we built a consortium that brought together hard scientists together with the human factors specialists, because we want to elaborate a crisis modeling framework and also test some indicators within communities and citizens according to the lesson learned, so analyzing the hazards affecting an area, but also pay a particular attention to the human factor, to the social and societal aspects, and also possible cascading effects. So the recommendation and the guidelines that were provided by the core project aim to foster an increased and improved preparedness culture, adaptability and resilience, also accommodating different social characteristics and vulnerabilities. As regards the core main outputs, it were based on a whole of society approach together with the transdisciplinary approach I presented here. And among the different outputs we delivered, we had the recommendation and the guidelines we will talk about in a few moments. Also a safety culture toolkit, misinformation toolbox, and a core application that was developed by an Italian school. And of course, I'm just talking about very few outputs of the core project, what the ones we want to just underline during this webinar. I now give the floor to my colleague Maria Vittoria, that will just give you just some information about the application we delivered within the core project. So please, Mavi, if you are here, of course you are.
I am here, sorry. Ben, can you go to the next slide?
Also the other.
Oh. Yeah, this is something that you just said, so you can go ahead in the next slide. So thank you very much, and I will kind of walk you through the journey of the core app. So the app that Rafael already said was finally developed by an Italian school. The works and the journey through the app started at the very first month of the project, in which we kind of studied the state of the art regarding the app related to disaster, basically, but not just ones created by professionals, but also the ones created by the students, because we wanted to use the hub as a mean for them to also get awareness about the topics we were discussing. And with that, we started the selection of a school, high school involved, which was just a call for topics, basically, and we asked everyone through our networks to join, and we had some school actually engaging in the project. Therefore, we started the training activities. We worked with the professors, or even the teachers, in order for the privacy of the students to be completely safeguarded. And then during the whole year, then the teachers will work on the topics and the trainings we will discuss together with the pupils. From month 21 to month 30, we had a competition implemented, and then the prototype was developed towards the end of the project. The winner was then announced at the end of the project. Ben, if you can go on. So what was the training activity about? Basically, it was developed by a major part of the consortium, especially the partners who was responsible for the different case studies. And in core, the content of the lessons were basically about the project itself, but also an introduction to risk and risk perception, and then which was the guidelines on how to be prepared before and after an event, of course, and how to act during a specific event, and how to increase resilience after the event itself. And the case studies were, of course, the ones present in the core project. You can go on. At the end, we had a lot of school involvement, but here you can see the top three of line one competition. The reason why we wanted to have two lines, one related with only the content development and the other one with an actual prototype, is the fact that we wanted to be very inclusive, because the main goal of the app development was not only having the app, but also having the kids more prepared and aware. And we didn't want their IT ability to be a reason of exclusion for them to be involved. And that's why we had two different competitions. One was related to what do you want to see in the app, and the other one was for the ones who were actually able to then develop the app, which was line 2. You can go on with the second slide. This is the podium, I would say, for the core app prototype. It's not in order. The ones who won was Safe Rescue, and I have a small video for you to see a little bit more of the app. Thanks. There's supposed to be an audio, but it's not an issue. I can walk you through that. So as you can see, the app, it's kind of designed for pupils of the same year that the kid would have. And one of the things that I forgot to mention is that even though the training was about the case studies as an hazard, they could choose their own hazard. Like the hazard that was then developed in the app has not to be one of the 7, but they could go towards something that they feel closer to heart, basically. And again, this is for them to be at the center of the experience. You see this the video in the writing in Italian, but they also developed an English one, only we don't have it on video. I think I can then yield the floor to Raffaella again, but I'm happy to have questions afterwards.
Thank you very much. We can just see here, it's in the last part there is the English version, but I suppose we can skip it, and I will just give you some information about the guidelines. Thank you. As regards the GOR guidelines, they were divided from the analysis of the sister project achievements, also according to the results coming for a stakeholder forum we held in Brussels on September 28, 2023, from the synthetic review of all the documents which were issued by the different core project work packages. The guidelines that come from the analysis that work performed within the core project were divided into prevention and fostering preparedness, into the prevention phase, fostering preparedness, that were in total 29 recommendations, and in the post-events one, to best face the recovery phase, that were 15 in total. Such recommendations are targeted to policymakers and practitioners. Can we just go to the other slide? Yeah, as regards the recommendation for prevention, fostering the preparedness, I of course just squeeze them just in few. I will not bother you with all the 29 recommendations. There are establish a global database to record and share experience and the lesson learned and best practice from different disasters. I want to just stress this point because within the core project we prepare a template that is important to analyze the past experience and the lesson learned is one of the main output out of the core project. Also, so to create also this unified reporting mechanism, as I have said, the core template can support this. Also to develop a comprehensive risk management frameworks, also to include the possibility of supply chain disruptions, and also to foster the public and private partnership to minimize such supply chain disruptions. Because one of the main lesson learned, let me say, was that during, for sure, the COVID-19 event, many of the effects were relied on the supply chain disruptions. So we had a very good job performed by one of our partners. It was the Anchor partner that just analyzed all the effects on supply chain disruptions, mainly focusing on the COVID-19 event. And also to measure safety culture in hazard-prone areas, also by possibly using our safety culture measurement toolkit. That is one of the main output of the core project. The next slide, please. Yes, another point important for the prevention phase is the flexibility in rules and procedures, because by analyzing safety culture in different contexts, it came out that in all the areas we examined, we had some problems in the procedures during the event. This means that different authorities should talk together just before the event hit, and just to decide to be more flexible in order to minimize the effects and to not hinder possibility of the rescue operation. Also, the creation of a register of vulnerable individuals came out to be essential and crucial, because I want just to stress out that we had core project had a very good analysis about the importance of including vulnerable categories also in the decision-making process. This is very important because we had within the consortium the Italian Fire Corps that is specialized in rescue operation for vulnerable categories. And what came out also during our campaign and our focus group is that in many countries, in many member states in Europe, at the European level, we don't have the register of vulnerable individuals. That makes very complicated for rescuers to just identify them and rescue them in a safer way. Another thing that came out is to promote active participation of citizens, and especially we had a survey asking people how much they trust authorities and experts, scientific experts, according to the disaster scenario identified within the core project. And it came out that most of respondents wants to be more actively involved and co-create approach also for a better preparedness, because they feel to be not prepared a lot against the hazards we just asked them. So it is very important for them to be involved, also to understand the procedures, to understand how to work together also with the local authorities during the rescue operation, because in many contexts, also the activity of citizens is crucial for the rescue operations. And as regards another recommendation, also to enhance the awareness of risk by also educating people on local risks, because many of them, they don't have a good knowledge of the possible hazards of the zone where they live in. So this is something that is very important to stress. Also to enhance information clarity and engagement to combat misinformation came out to be crucial. Also during the event, when an event hits an area, it's important the continuous engagement of authorities and also of experts, just to combat, to avoid the spread of misinformation. And another recommendation was to use our toolbox, to deal with misinformation during in the disaster risk management. Just the other slide, please. As regards the recommendation for the post-events for the recovery phase, so it came out in the importance of incorporating psychological support measures by all disaster management authorities. It's something that was crucial and came out in all the disaster scenarios, and it should be stressed also for vulnerable, also and especially for vulnerable categories. The need for member states also to develop recovery plans is important, to communicate the continuous crisis communication and public participation also during the recovery phase is important, so not only in the first phase but also in the last phase, and also to strengthen institutional presence and building a strong community relationships. The other slide, please. Also, the recommendation regards also the active engagement on social media platform, particularly during the emergencies. This is something that came out in many activities of the core project as crucial. And also the importance of a robust communication network to be built before, during, but also after the disaster. And also address all the fake news during the disaster, possibly in simultaneous way when they spread out. And I think that that's all from my side. Just the last slide, sorry. Okay, we have this video legacy. I don't know if we have time to show it. It's about 3 minutes length. Ben, can you confirm we can just show it?
And I'm hopeful the sound will work this time, so please give me a thumbs up if it is.
Okay. Okay, it's without sound, okay.
Disasters hit without warning, leaving communities more vulnerable than ever before. That's why it's vital to build stronger, more prepared societies. Since 2021, CORE has been dedicated to enhancing the resilience of those most at risk. What have we accomplished in the last 3 years? We've created clear metrics to measure, monitor, and reduce the impact of disasters. Through the analysis of 7 disaster scenarios, we've set the standard for disaster management. For detailed insights, see our policy brief. CORE developed a disaster risk governance strategy, guiding practitioners to address today's challenges and strengthen disaster management practices. But building resilience also means fostering a positive safety culture among citizens and institutions in our communities. So we crafted a CORE safety culture toolkit and conducted a safety culture assessment campaign in 5 European countries. Misinformation can severely undermine our ability to prepare for and recover from disasters. Our misinformation toolbox empowers researchers, policymakers, and practitioners to improve disaster response. Plus, we have even engaged the next generation by challenging 15 high schools from 4 countries to create a CORE app for disaster preparedness. These young innovators are now equipped with the skills and knowledge to contribute meaningfully to disaster resilience in their communities, ensuring a stronger, safer future for all. At CORE, we're dedicated to nurturing a sustainable, resilient, and healthy ecosystem. This is why we have crafted recommendations to help policymakers communicate more effectively during crisis. Why does this matter? Because adaptive communication isn't just a buzzword. It's the difference between uncertainty and preparedness. Our recommendations ensure that when disaster strikes, the right messages reach the right people at the right time. Finally, in partnership with 8 sister projects, we co-created a policy brief that highlights the power of collective expertise in building societal resilience. Interested to learn more and access all of our work? Head out to our CORE website on euproject-core.eu.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. I just want to show you the final video that just squeezes all the elements of the core project. I hope you have a more clear snapshot about what the core project is. And if you have some questions, please, in the end of the webinar, or just try to send me an email or to my colleague Maria Vittoria. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Raffaella, and we are going to hand over to Zoltan now. I noticed a couple of questions coming in the chat, so we will address those during our Q&A session at the end. So please be rest assured they have been seen. Zoltan, sir, we're going to hand over to you.
Yeah, can you hear and see me now?
You can.
Great, thanks. So Be Prepared project, I already provided a teaser on it. We are really the approach which is trying to build up from the bottom. So the motto of the project is that we know that first responders and second responders were coming and helping, and many projects are providing them innovations and tools and registers and understanding. But until then, everyone has to have a plan B, how to survive a disaster, how we empower citizens with the knowledge to survive until help arrives. We are stemming from different events, disaster events, which were spiraling out of control, even with the best efforts of first responders. They were not able to be controlled by them. I want to mention here that we are speaking about disaster in legal term, what it is not controllable. Until then, it's a hazard. So there were several historical events which were so hard that it would have been needed better knowledge and better disaster preparedness culture for the citizens to diminish the number of victims and the volume of damage. We turned to the game-based learning as our communication leader, Ors usually said. People are now swarmed with information from the media, from the internet, social media, and so on. So we needed to find a good channel which reaches to people, and we have the same approach as Corp has, that game-based and gamified information can come more easily through for the average citizen whose task is not to, learn and be disaster prepared. We strongly believe that we can increase engagement and boost the motivation, make a better knowledge retention. Because in a crisis situation, usually it's a psychological mechanism. People's perception and memory narrow down, focus on key things. We have to teach them simple key messages, easy actions, which are easily recalled in such a situation. And besides, we strongly believe that the preparedness with the gamification gives a joy factor, which will diminish stress and panic to a certain extent. How we make it available for everyone? Actually, Be Prepared is a trademark for collaborative education, where different educational sources and formats can converge to increase disaster preparedness. This is the philosophy of Be Prepared. And this will be how the project will continue as a platform. The 4 products will be presented in order, and they are demonstrating how this platform will work. The open beta versions will be available as giveaway, and after the beta phase is done, it will be a kind of freemium model where people can use it for free, but they can also donate these efforts and other preparedness campaigns, as well as first and second responder organizations, or actually victims of disasters through the application. First product is Disasterpedia. This is a hybrid of Wikipedia and Facebook. Best operates on web, but also available on mobile. You can find it on disasterpedia.com. It is a pretty easy to use. Who are familiar with social media, for those people. And the aim is to create content which is not for professionals, but for everyday citizens, or in plain language. And this we are building a good collaboration with the C-Mini and DRS Hub, because there is professional content, which is already professional and quality content. And we are working to find ways how to share those with citizens in a more understandable format, to be the channel to our citizens from DRS Hub, and integrate those stakeholders into our DRS Hub as well. We're working on integration right now. Hopefully it will, in the next years, we will have something tangible to show. So it is not only serving information and knowledge by itself, but it also provides support for other applications which are connected. For example, provides content for game creators. And to reach out to stakeholders with a bit of fun, we organized some treasure hunts on the platform. There are some Easter eggs hidden and hidden instructions. That was the treasure hunt in April, what we did in Greece. And new treasure hunt will come up in a few months. So I encourage you to go to Disasterpedia and try out the system with this treasure hunt game, where you have to find hidden information inside Disasterpedia. The next is a mobile application, I Am Prepared. All those applications are already out, available. You can find them on App Store. You can find them on Play Store of Google. This is a mobile application which is using the GPS-based walks, so a bit of geocaching with gamified content and historical lessons to provide useful information to citizens. It also has augmented reality activities. For example, it has an AR CPR model when you can, at any location, you can try out how you can use a CPR, how it would work in a real situation. So it has two different modes. One is geocaching, that's on-site mode, when you're actually walking in the area and you're following your GPS, and where you reach the defined location, you will receive the information, just like a good clue game, if you like to walk. And if you're any big city of Europe, you can check out where we have a walk there and walk around it. The other one is distant mode, when you don't need to walk, don't need to move, you just go through a story step by step and play the games. I also have a short video, but basically it shows how you can download and how you can implement the software. And here is you see how the online maps works. It works together with all kind of other map services like Google Maps or Open Maps. But it also has a function where you can present projects and where you can share surveys. So for partner projects who are interested to do so, our KPI target is having 10,000 downloads. We are in going for that in the next 1.5 years. So when we don't want to only make a platform which serves only our content, the platform which is also supporting other projects, surveys from time to time, and show interesting content. We can even use internal links to, of course, and promote other solutions projects for consideration. So this is a quick snapshot how it is going. And for you, I brought you a little show for the game. So who is interested can download the app and then scan the QR code, having this more button and use it, and you can try out yourselves in several matching games, which are about landslides, which were provided by our HVL partner from Norway. And you see there is a timer. You have roughly 2-3 minutes to answer. We won't wait out this one now, but I encourage you to make a screenshot or just make a picture of the QR code and save it for later. We also have a jigsaw puzzle game. It works with the same way as QR code is on the right. You have to put together a list of vulnerable individuals. I saw the question in the chat. We will answer it in due time, and I'm sure Rafael has an answer. But when you're speaking about individuals, we're thinking about groups. So not XYZ as person, but like children or pregnant women. For example, in Be Prepared, the key individual vulnerable groups are the children and the pregnant women in the first place. And then comes the patients, hospital patients, cancer survivors, followed by the elderly. And then we considering vulnerable groups based on social characteristics or economical characteristics. Another game is a word search. You can find 4 words that can trigger a landslide. because one city in Norway went into the fault that they construction regulations were not taking care of that potential, and they enabled something which I don't want to say now, but it is one of the solutions, which was done when a company built a golf park, and it ended up with a landslide, destroying several buildings and causing deaths. And this city was Gjerdrum in Norway. You can Google after it. And we have an orderly game, how you should react, how you should respond, what is the best order of action. So these kind of games are put in this I'm Prepared application. These are mini games, and when you're getting to a certain location or getting to a certain point of a story, you can play these. You can play these games, and this is a direct way just to simply scan the QR code, and you can go ahead. Okay, you play the game, you read all the stuff, you read Disasterpedia a lot. What happens next? How we will know that you are prepared? And this is where Are You Prepared comes into the picture. Actually, this Are You Prepared is connected with all of these platforms via application programming interfaces. And this integration interface documentation is public and access is public. So if you have your own application in your own project and you want to measure how citizens progress with your application, reach out to us because we have actually now running a hackathon, which started now, and it is about connecting other games to this Are You Prepared and presenting other games on the hackathon which are not in Unreal Engine. So, for example, what Core presented, game app, can also come to the Be Prepared hackathon and compete against in other games and game ideas, for example. Here we will distribute 25 API keys for free lifetime. So there will be no charge even after the project ends. And it will allow you to measure performance, define badges, send badges, and so on and so on. I think this will be giving us a very exciting insight how citizens do progress with these, which applications that they like the most. So this not only allows for individual citizens or game makers to have a learning management, but also universities. We are preparing university course descriptions and curricula, which can be designed in this Are You Prepared? It can be connected with the university learning management systems, which means you can pass an exam by playing a game on disaster preparedness. I think that's a dream for every student, that they can pass exams by gaming. We make this true. Right now, the first 5 course descriptions are under accreditation at different universities. So we expect to have this helping building real culture of disaster preparedness. And on one hand, teaching citizens the responsibility, but on the other hand, empowering us as citizens how to react. Because the main problem is that many countries' laws say that citizens must involve themselves in disaster response, act on disaster response. But when we did the survey, most citizens said, I don't know what to do. So we have to empower them on one hand, on the other hand, teach them responsibility. Last but not least, the most spectacular part will be a VR serious game, a close to reality multiplayer cooperative VR serious game done in Unreal Engine with very high fidelity. It is a PEGI system plus game, so it is not for children really. It is above age of 16 because the high realism. In this game, they have 13 missions, which is designed with first and second responders together. What missions can be taken in a disaster scenario, what things can happen. These were done, checked in the co-design phase with a survey, more than 400 respondents in 13 languages on gaming habits, what is the most favored missions, what is the popularity, what they consider most serious. And based on this, we started to create high fidelity game solutions. This is our demo area, which is called the garage. This garage was, the first version was presented in October 11th in Brussels on the Space for Security, and will also be playable next Monday in Brussels. So if you're hanging around, you see me with a headset, just come to me and you can try it out. We organize these missions into two scenarios. One is a forest fire scenario, supported by the French end user, first responder organization in the project. Basically, there is a forest fire and people have to navigate through an escape route and reach safety. For game makers, this is an escape sequence type scenario with time pressure. That was the real historical event, a forest fire with a pretty strong wind and spreading towards a chemical depot, which was a Seveso 3 facility. Based on this historical scenario, together with the first responders, we designed a game scenario where the players play through this situation. The other scenario is about flood. This is a different approach. This is a shrinking world type scenario, like Apex game. So your play area shrinks from time to time, but otherwise it is open. You have to complete a set of critical objectives, but it's not told to you. You have to find them and then get out. So this is an intensive flood, a coastal tide, leading to urban flooding. And this is where we demonstrate that the multiplayer actually works. You see two multiplayer actors in VR in high fidelity environment. They see each other, run each other. It works smoothly. This is what is now done by the game. And like if a flood comes or a fire comes, you have to run through a forest. This will be pretty close to real experience. And here is a flyby. Here is how the map looks like right now. Currently in the hackathon, one challenge is to deliver additional 3D models and assets to the game scenario. So hackathon participants can contribute and leave their own mark on this scenario by adding some assets in 3D models. You see, the buildings are not yet complete. This scenario will be presented in the SRE event 24th of June in Brussels as a playable version. We are now in the 19th month of the project, or 20th month of the project. So consider this was developed in 20 months, from scratching the scenario together down to a playable version. This is how the flood scenarios design look like. So it is a shrinking area with different missions around. And I already told about the hackathon. I would like to repeat the announcement. If you're interested, organizations, projects, individuals, or teams are welcome to the hackathon. Not only coders, because there's also a Disasterpedia category. You can come for the Disasterpedia category and provide the content, even on your project, even on the content of your project. Set up your own page, promoting your project and linking to your projects or products or ideas or historical disaster articles. In I Am Prepared, you can submit walks in your city, in neighboring cities. For Are You Prepared, I already told we're looking for API connections. And for VR Prepared, in 3D assets or in mini games, not in Unreal. So like it can be Unity, but it can also be done in Minecraft or Roblox, which are also very fun. So feel free to reach out to me, to us, if you would like to contribute, because we think that the winners of the hackathon will be the future projects. And last but not least, just have a look on it. and think if you're a first responder and if you could send 3 SMSs, 200 characters each, to people who are inside the scenario, what would you say them? And what do you think how much time the civilians have to escape? And I recommend you to try out the VR experience next week or in June at SRE. And I invite you to join Disasterpedia and try out the treasure hunt, the next treasure hunt, which will launch soon. Thank you for your time and attention. Apologies for being 2 minutes longer than expected, but I hope we are managing time still well. Thanks.
Thank you, Zoltan, and thank you, Mavi and Rafaela, for those interesting presentations. There's some really good stuff in there, and I particularly like that we're always working towards how we're best going to help the citizen, which is why we all do it, right? So, Sonia, I'm going to hand over to you for the question and answer session, if you don't mind.
Yeah, thank you, Ben, and thank you for the interesting presentations. I really enjoyed looking at these concrete outputs from these projects. I will read the question from the chat. So we have a question for the core project about the register of vulnerable individuals. Raffaella, you mentioned that this was a solution in Italy, and the question is about the ethical and social implications of having such a register, and also how does it work with the financial maintenance of this tool. So I don't know if you want to share it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One of the recommendations, yes, was about to have a vulnerable register. Something that came out during our workshops and activities, asking also practitioners, as I mentioned in the beginning. Within the core project, we had 6 practitioners, but we also invited other practitioners to our workshop and also in our focus groups. And this is something that for sure has some ethical implication. And we paid within the core project a particular attention to that, but it is something that is more practical. I mentioned in the beginning that we had within a consortium, the Italian Fire Corps is particularly specialized in the rescue operation for people affected by some impairments, for example. And it is a matter of fact that during an event, most of people that dead are, for example, deaf people that don't have the possibility to hear the alarm, for example. And one of the example that was made, that was during the Amatrice earthquake, they had some problems with, for example, autistic people, because they don't want to leave their homes. So to know how these people are located is very important for the rescue operation. And yes, it's costly. I of course agree with that, but how worth is human life? This is the question. So I also mentioned within the presentation that we asked for more flexibilities within the authorities. It is something that came out. There is a lack of flexibility, especially during the event. And who is responsible for the procedures? For example, for such register, some problems came out concerning the ethical implication, because the municipality can have such information, but for an ethical perspective, in many cases, doesn't want to give such information to people responsible for the rescue operation. And this can be a problem, because you can just expose people to death. And this is, of course, our suggestion. And as a follow-up, we are convinced that we should work on that to create a framework that works from a financial perspective, but more important from to save human life. This is something that should be crucial, especially in when a disaster hits an area. Thank you very much. I hope I have I given an answer.
Thank you, Raffaella. And as always, you can use the space, the Disaster Risk Stakeholder Hub, to continue asking your question or follow-up doubts, so we can continue the discussion there. Before closing, I see that there is another question for the Be Prepared project from Liz. So the question is if you're planning to evaluate the impact of the tools that you presented from a research perspective. So if this is in your plan in the next future of the project, and also which languages are available or will be available for these tools. So Zoltan, over to you.
Thank you very much. Of course, well, first of all, we are focused on innovation. So I'm not really the research leader in this, but what I can tell that yes, we plan to have a second phase, and with some of the partners and colleagues here, we are already brainstorming how to make a second phase. But to be honest, it is not my best side to formulate research questions, where to go on that. So in my hand, the second phase is more like a CSA or more like a SSRI or something like that, which actually widens the language access, widens geographical access, or at least this is what I can be good at. But I know that many partners are interested in having a research perspective on that. I know that there is a draft call, which is a research innovation action, and it is on disaster resilience. So we are fully open to discuss a possible second phase around these research questions. Although in my head they are not yet defined, to be fully honest.
Thank you, Zoltan. Before closing very quickly, if you can give us the languages of the tools and the languages that you plan to develop the tools in. Now they are in English, and you plan to translate them also in other languages?
Basically, on Disasterpedia, any language content can be installed, and any type of writing is hosted by the platform. In the I Am Prepared, right now we have this, I Am Prepared, the mobile application is also language agnostic. So every walk can be of different language. Right now we have English language and Hungarian language and I think Italian content and German. So we are covering 4 languages. But as I said, one of the aims is to gradually widen the language access, because more than half of the EU citizens didn't speak English. And even the 44% of population who speaks English, not sure it speaks at the level where this information would be helpful for them. So we have to extend this. The real impact key is to have it in all European languages.
Okay, thank you, Zoltan. I see that there are other comments in the chat, and I encourage you to move this discussion on the disaster risk stakeholder hub, so we can keep discussing at our own pace. And I give the word back to you, Ben, to close the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. So really, it's just a quick thank you for all of you for your time, for the participants as well as our speakers. We will be sending out a feedback form, so please, any feedback is welcome, positive or negative. We are in the very early stages of the Disaster Risk Stakeholder Hub as well as the webinars, so the more feedback, the better. Our next webinar will be on the 10th of June. That is now available for registration on CMINE. You will get a follow-up email that contains the link within it. And this webinar will also be posted on the DRS Hub, so it can be shared with anybody who missed it. That's all from me, unless any of the speakers or Sonia have anything else to say. I'm getting lots of shakes of heads, so thank you all very much for your time, and we'll hopefully see you on the next one. Many thanks.